He went where? With who? Like, welcome to yet another reading vlog. I'm super excited. I have some fun spring reads in here. I've got some fantasy, maybe a little sci-fi. Let's see what we get into. I have a couple options. I don't think I will finish all of these books. I have also another book on Kindle I would like to read. I'll pick maybe 3 of these to get through, and also one of these is pretty chunky, but we'll get to that in a minute, okay? But let's start with Violet This Way is Not a Villain Anymore. And I apologize if I sound kind of snotty. It's nasty. It's literally 80 degrees today, and literally 2 days ago it was 30 degrees. So I'm sorry my sinuses are a little messed up, but anyway, c'est la vie. Violet This Way is not a villain anymore. So this follows the premise of Violet being our main character, and she worked for some evil master lord of some sort, a villain, and he has passed away. So now she's kind of wanting to walk the line and get on the good side, and she doesn't want to like live in the evil master lord world anymore, right? And so she moves to this small town, and I think she opens up some type of apothecary or plant shop of some the sort, and she's just trying to like figure out what she wants to do with her life, right? And like set things on a good note. But of course, being in a small town, people talk. I think there's a little bit of romance in this book, and it's just giving really fun, cozy fantasy vibes, right? And it just seems really interesting. I think it's giving Assistant to the Villain meets the Spell Shop vibes, and I loved both of those books, so I'm really hoping that's what this book is about. It's a pretty short book. How many pages is it? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's 356 pages. Like, this is a short read, but it looks cute. I mean, just look at the cover. It's bright, it's spring-like, it's got flowers, it's just cute, it's pretty. Honestly, I just want to read it. I think it seems fun. It's a little on the lighter side, as I have some of these other heavier books in here, and so I'm really excited for that one. Now, the other 2 books I will say I'm between on, that I'll probably pick one or the other, is the first one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Now, I've heard such good things about this, and again, I think it's very much a spring read, right? Like, I mean, when I think of spring, I think fairies, I think flowers, right? So Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies just sounds very spring to me, right? And so going into this book, I honestly don't know much about it other than Emily Wilde, who is our main character. She is some type of like professor, and she maps pretty much the fairies, and she is like about to uncover some type of secret history fairy or something like that, and I think there's a little bit of romance in it, and something sounds intriguing. I believe this is a finished trilogy, and I don't know, something about it just seems fun and enjoyable. And again, because I'm also reading Violet This Way, I'm not sure that I'll get to this one or if I'll get to the next book that I'm about to talk about, but we shall see. But I will either be reading it this time or next week. We shall see. But that's one of the options for our reading vlog here. And the next is the second in the Dungeon Crawler Carlo series. Man, let me tell you, this series is getting me. I was not expecting to like this series so much. Dungeon Crawler Carlo, the first book of the series. Easy 5-star read for me, right? Like, I don't know how he made that book so fun, but it was so enjoyable. So pretty much, so we're following our main character, Carl, who, as this goes about, we're now going into the second book. He's made it down, or let's get to the first premise if you don't know what Dungeon Crawler Collar is about. Pretty much what happens, something happens, the earth is completely flattened out, and if you weren't outside at a certain time, like, you're pretty much been offed, right? And so you have a decision to make. Either you can stay outside on top of the earth where everything has literally been smashed to the smithereens, and it's very likely you're not going to live up there, or you have to go down below into these labyrinths that were built throughout the world. Or like underneath the like earth, right? And so Carl ends up choosing to go down into these labyrinths, and you're then put into this like video game RPG type vibe, right? And you kind of have to go in there and more or less fight to the death in RPG style and Hunger Games style, right? And it's very interesting and it's funny. It's a really fun twist on everything. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable here. Cats are moving all around me. But it's very interesting because it's really, really funny, but there's also really interesting moral and ethical things brought up that I would never have thought that would have been like put into a book, but the way it's done is also very funny. Like, it's serious because you're like, oh my gosh, did that actually happen in real life? Like, I don't know what I'd do, but like the way like it's twisted in this book, fantastic. So going into book 2, he's now a few levels in. He's at this level where, again, not trying to spoil anything, but there's a certain level that you get to that you can change your form if you want to. So you can either stay human or change into, I don't know, I think they give you like a slew of different things, right? And he's like at a certain like level, and you're wanting to get like further on. And if you get to level 18, you then get to like live pretty much, right? But if you dying in any of the other levels, like, you're off, but there's certain incentives in each one, right? So it's just really fun. It's a fun series. I'm interested in it. Like, it's not what I would have expected at all from the series, but I'm really excited to continue that. So I'll either pick Dungeon Crawler or Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I think we shall see kind of how it develops. Maybe I'll read all 4 of them, but I'll probably just pick 3 books for this in lieu of everything, because going into this Mamma Jamma right here, Malice by John Gwynne. Now, I did briefly start this yesterday. Well, I say briefly, I'm like a quarter of the way, but she's pretty thick. I'm like 25-ish% in, and I'm excited. Like, this is a very highly rated book. I read John Gwynne's other series. I don't remember what it's called. I'll put it on the screen. I did enjoy it. I didn't end up finishing it because, like, life happened and it was a couple of years ago, but I will go back and finish that series. But I have really high hopes for this. So, beginning in this series, I will say it's a little slow. It's like a normal high fantasy that it starts off slow. There's a lot of characters in this. And so I will say I am constantly going from, like, the front of the map and going, where? And then flipping to the back going, who? He went where? With who? Like, straight, like, straight up, like, that meme or that video, like, I keep going, where? With who? I will say I've been done that several times. I'm sorry if that's annoying, but I get a little confused. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of moving steps. But I feel like I ended up stopping at page 197, chapter 26. And I'm glad I did, because I feel like we finally got past a lot of, like, the introduction of characters. Like, there's not really a whole lot going on in this book yet, right? Like, we're getting introduced to the characters, we're getting introduced to the world, and kind of following them along. So in this world, it's kind of brought up that it's like Viking-ish. Like, in the beginning of this book, there's not a whole lot happening other than, like, the background and the stories of these basically forming characters, but there are a lot of other viewpoints. So that's why I literally kept going back and forth, right? Because I was a little confused on who these people are. But again, that's normal in a high fantasy book. You always get that. But again, it's adding to the story, right? It's adding to the realm. And so Viking inspired, and in this world, I think it was like 1,000 years ago, there was this big thing that happened. Like, the gods have now gone away. They fought these giants, and now all of humanity and all humans live in these specific lands called the Banished Lands. And since now it's been 1,000 years, now things were kind of going around. They believe that their gods have left them. There are very few who do still pray to the gods, but again, they've not heard from them. They think they're long gone. They've abandoned them. But now weird things are starting to happen. Giants are still coming down from the north. They're infiltrating all these different kingdoms. And so they are just kind of flailing around trying to figure out, well, what do we do now? Because they've never had this happen before. There's only, like, a certain amount of humanity left. And, like, again, thinking smaller clans and kingdoms of, like, a Viking-like world, right? And it's also, I feel like, got a lot of Scottish type vibes in here too. Of course, the Viking in this too, but I think there's a lot of Scottish vibes too. Very interesting. But they're kind of navigating that, and so we're following 4 main characters, lots of different viewpoints happening, and it's just kind of telling their story and leading up. And I think that's why I stopped literally at, like, that quarter mark, because I think things are finally starting to happen. So even though not much has happened yet, I'm intrigued. I'm interested to see what is going on and what is happening from here on out. But other than that, that is my reading plans. So let's get this here. Violet Thistlewaite, we've got Emily Wilde's, we've got Dungeon Crawler Carl 2, and then Malice. Now, I'm hoping to finish this up in this whole vlog, so we'll see if I can get to at least 2 other books, which I'm sure I can. I believe in myself. I'm a very avid reader, right? But we shall see. I think I have a really good mix. I tried to pull some lighter, heavier stuff as I'm reading the heavier fantasy along with Dungeon Crawler. So we'll see how it goes. I think I need to update my book journal quite a bit. Do I have any other plans for this week? I feel like I do, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But we'll get into it. So I will see you on the next update. have some reading updates for you. Now, I did finish Violet This Way Is Not a Villain Anymore. I'm sorry I was going to do a halfway check-in, and then things got busy, life happened, and honestly, I read the whole thing rather quickly. It's a pretty short read, but it was actually super cute. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed the story. I think I'd give it maybe a solid 3.5. Like, it was still a very good book, but like, was not the best thing, wasn't the most gripping story, but it was a fun story and I enjoyed it. Like, I would read this book again and I would go through the world again. So to kind of give you a premise of what happens, so Violet This Away obviously is the main character and her boss dies, right? He's the evil lord, evil villain. So now she's like, well, I could be good. I could be good now. So what do I do now? So she moves to a very small town called Dragon's Rest. And then so she ends up renting out another, like, a half a space of a failing apothecary, and she starts like her own flower shop, and that's how she's trying to be good. And there's a little bit of an romance aspect with the neighbor / landlord of the apothecary, and there's this whole story going on, but it kind of follows Violet around, and she's just kind of trying to figure out, like, what does she do now? Like, she's been underneath the thumb of this evil sorcerer for pretty much her entire life, and she's kind of like, what do I do now? And it's very interesting to kind of see her go through everything, right? And it's cute, it's fun. I really enjoy, I think you can see him, yeah, you can see him on the cover, but what's his name? Something with the B, Bartleby, that's his name. That is the plant. He's kind of, I wouldn't say sentient, he's got his own thing, but he is quite murderous, and he's got a knife in his hand, a knife in his leaves, I get. It's a very, very, very interesting, fun side character. He does not talk like the plants do in, like, the spell shop, but very, very similar-esque vibes. I don't think it portrays as much fantasy. Hello, Leo. I don't know if you can see him. He's here right in front of me. He keeps reaching for me. I don't think it portrays as well and, like, as written as, like, beautifully in a fantasy world, like the way it's just written, as well as, like, Sarah Beth Durst does in The Spell Shop and all her other books. But it's pretty good. Like, it really explains the world. It's very interesting. The plot line was really good. It was like a very steady beat. It was like a nice pace. It wasn't like super, super fast, but it wasn't like so slow like you're bored out of your mind. Like, it was a nice, even, steady pace. But it was a book that, like, if you wanted to, you could sit down and pick back up. But I ended up just reading it all the way through, and it was fun. It was just an enjoyable, cozy fantasy read, and I think it, like, really hits for, like, that spring time. Like, I want to read fantasy, but I don't know how heavy fantasy I want to read. Like, I think it really hits all those vibes. But it's a fun, interesting story, and, like, again, I'd read this again. I'm super excited that I finally got to this, even though, like, it's literally been on my TBR for, like, less than a week. But it's a cute book. I really enjoyed it. Very similar vibes to The Spell Shop and Assistant to the Villain for the most part. And I enjoyed it. It was definitely something I would suggest to a lot of people to read, and I would suggest you to read. Now, moving on. I think I was about a quarter of the way into this book when I first talked about it in the beginning of this vlog, Malice. Now, let's just say I literally have, like, this much left in this book. I will say, I'm pretty sure I talked about it in the beginning. It was just super boring in the beginning. Like, I was just like, I was kind of dragging through, and I'm like, is this really worth talking about? Like, do I want to continue on the story? But once I kind of got to, like, the halfway mark, and there's, like, I think specifically one pivotal point, like, in this plot line that happens in it, like, it really took off from there. And, like, I could not put this book down. I mean, the last 2 days, that's all I've been reading. Like, I have been chugging through this book, and I almost finished it this morning, but I had just a little bit left. I had to go and help my mom move, so I was a little bit busy, but I'm about to finish it tonight. But, like, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes left in this book, and let me tell you, it's so good. It is so good. It's really... as slow as the beginning was, I truly think it was needed to understand who the characters are, and as it moves through the storyline, who they're becoming, and hello, Leo, who they're becoming, and what kind of happens in the story, like their reasonings as to why they do certain things. And I think that's actually really, really important, that you know the background and how they are, because it kind of spans so far over, like, 2 years from the beginning of the book to, like, towards the end of the book right now. And some of our main characters, Corbin, for instance, I think he starts out around, like, 13-ish in the beginning of the book, and again, Viking Scottish type vibes coming from this book style, right? And then he lives in one of the lands, and he's a blacksmith's son, and we're kind of following him along, because when you turn 14 in this world, like you can start to train to become a warrior and like a shield man, right? And so he's really looking forward to his 14th name day and getting to things like that. So you're really experiencing some things from his end and like how things are developing from him. And I'm really enjoying him as a character. I think he's really fun, and I'm really enjoying his sister. She's very much a side character, but I really like how in this book a lot of the women are portrayed, because I feel like in certain high fantasy books, right, like it's kind of a 50-50 shot of, are the women just kind of like weak in whatever, and they're just kind of like princess type vibes where they only take care of the family. In this book, I think a lot of the women are portrayed much stronger, and not necessarily that they fight arm in arm with the men in this specific scenario, but they're still, like, especially like Cywin, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, is to a certain degree like knows how to kind of protect herself, you know what I mean, and things like that, and she's still a strong female character, and I like that. I like that in these books. You don't always get that in high fantasies. It's like a 50-50 shot, but I'm really enjoying her. She's really fun. But we're kind of following Corbin along, and then there's a couple other really interesting main characters, but I see now why it took so long, because I was like, gosh, do I have to know all these details about this person? But truly in the beginning of this book, I think you need to understand, because as the plot line goes along, so like 1,000 years ago, there's like a huge war broke out, and men and all humans were all kind of sent out, and they were banished across the way, and now they all live in these vanished lands, and they're all kind of, there's lots of different lores, and there is technically a high king, but again, that's like the old law from like 1,000 years ago. They kind of obey it, but they kind of don't. They all are kind of like lorded on their own, right? But we go along in the beginning of this, and I promise this is not giving any away. The world is broken, and there's about to be a god war happening. Like, that's prophesized, like there's signs that are happening. There's lots of giants in this, like the giants are coming down and raiding them, and there's what do they call it? Worms? I kind of like picture the worms from Dune, but not necessarily as big, but like the giants like breed them, and there's other like really interesting magical creatures that kind of pop up in this, and like the magic is also very interesting too, how it's kind of like inserted enough, but like still very normal fantasy vibes. Like, it's not like I wouldn't say it's not an integral part of the story, but it's not like the main part of the story, right? It's very interesting how it's like woven in through the story. It's not like the main focus, and I enjoy that. I think that's really interesting how John Gwynne has written that in here. But anyway, so we know like a god war is going to break out. It's like kind of portrayed as like these two men, one with the good god, one with the bad god, are going to rise, and they're going to kind of battle it out, and they're going to try to pretty much save the world. And I really see that in the character development of all of these individuals, especially like what's his name, Veradus? Yeah, Veradus, his viewpoint is so interesting, because you're following him around. He's, I think, around like 18-ish in the beginning of the book, and then, you know, follows around about 2 years later, or like through the book, like through the events. And it's very interesting, his point of view, like how he ends up connecting with one of the other main characters, Nathar, who is like one of like the crown prince of like the lord of the like all of the human people. That, like, again, it's an old tradition, so not everybody lives up and like respects that. Anyway, it's interesting from seeing his viewpoint, because like I'm seeing a lot of red flags from some of these characters, and I'm thinking like, I don't know, I kind of think he might turn out bad, like, and then their viewpoints. It's so interesting how it's all developing. It's such an intriguing story, and again, such a slow beginning, but I really think you needed it, because I feel so attached to some of these characters. Like, I cannot wait to flip the page. I want to know what happens to these characters. I'm in it now. Like, I already went ahead and pre-ordered the last, I think there's 4 books in the series. Yeah, 4 books in the series. So I ordered the last 3. Like, I don't even think I think at that point I was like just halfway through the book, and I was like, you know what? I need to know what happens to the characters. Like, I was so invested, and I feel very connected to these characters, but I love the world because it's set into a reality, but it's also so fantastical at the same time, and I think it's done so well with like the introduction of all these characters. And I really, really enjoy how a lot of the like battles and stuff are so easy to understand, because there's a lot of things that like battle war stuff really goes over my head, right? There's certain things like for instance, like, again, it's a completely different book, but like the Poppy War, some of like the battles and tactics, like I did not understand what was happening at all. I couldn't picture it in my mind. I was confused, and I just kind of read through it, and I'm like, okay, that happened. I don't feel that in this book. It's very easy to understand exactly what's going on, and like, especially in like how much of a dynamic battle is going on, especially in like in some of these scenes. It's so interesting, and like I can understand, like I can see it in my head and picture it, and I love that. I love that about this writing, and it's so beautiful. Also, speaking of, first of all, size of this book, fantastic, but really the size of these words, first of all, fantastic. Like so easy to read, like especially as I get older and have more eye problems. Like this is beautiful. I'm just saying, publishers, take notes at the sizing of this text, okay? I'm just saying. Anyway, but this is a really interesting, like I am so excited to finish this book, and I'm interested to continue on in the series. Like I don't know that I could stop the series, because at this point, how far we've gotten with some of these characters, like I am attached to these characters, and I need to know what happens to them. And so I'm definitely going to be finishing up the last section tonight. But I did have a little bit of some book mail come in, so I thought we could talk about it and share. One of them was a pre-order. I kind of forgot I pre-ordered it, and I was like, oh, that's exciting. So let me pull it up. It is Alex Astaire's. She's the one who wrote Light Lark series that I thoroughly enjoyed. Her new adult series, Starside. So I am super excited about this series. I think it's her technically debut adult fantasy, and I find it really interesting. Let me show you I did specifically get the Target exclusive. The original cover was of course very beautiful too, but I thought the Target one with the red on it, so it's really like, instead of this being red, it's like silver. Again, it looks very cool, but I think the red just really made it pop, and I really enjoyed that. Here is the outside of the book without the paperback, or the cover on it. But it's super pretty. But pretty much the premise of this world is, instead of inheriting your powers, you earn it, and you have to earn your swords. And so pretty much it's kind of like there's like haves and have-nots, and the haves live on like a certain side, and like they're the high and mighty, you know, things like that. But then the other side, it like opens up a trials and tribulations game where every like 50 years or so, like the have-nots can come and battle it out, and if they want to take magic and they want to like improve upon the world, they can. And so it's an interesting concept, because like you're not born with these powers, you take it, and you like, and so it's just following along one of these have-nots. And again, there's a little bit of a romantasy element in it, and it seems really like intriguing, and I'm interested to see, because I really enjoyed it. Like I love the way she writes steam, like it's so beautiful, but like the intricate storylines, because like you think one thing is gonna happen, and then out of nowhere something else completely blindsides you, and it's like the best thing in the world. Like it is the best heartbreak in the best way. Like it is so fun, it's so engaging. These are always a good book series, but Alex Astaire like really, I think, just knows how to twist your mind and like not be able to see an outcome. So I'm super excited to get into this soon. This literally just came out since I pre-ordered this. And then the other book I got is The Raven Scholar. So this has kind of been on my TBR kind of for a little while. I kept hearing rather good things about it, or like okay things about it, but first of all, look at that flop. That flop is beautiful. Anyway, though, I heard a lot of things about it, and I finally just decided to pick it up, and it's my birthday month. I'm like, treat yourself, girl. And so this is the book that I ended up picking out for myself, among others, but this is like the one that just happens to come in. But this one kind of follows the premise of, in this world there's lots of different scholars, and one of them dies, and I think there's like a hole to fill like within the magistrate, or like the people who run it. And so I think there's like a trials and tribulation kind of thing, but one of them was killed, and so now it's tasked to one of the high scholars, aka the Raven Scholar, to kind of figure out who did it. And a lot is at stake, because she could either like rule everything, or she could like be trampled in the dust and like gone in the wind. It's just something about this is interesting. I've heard it's got really good pace. I heard it's really fun. I think the second book is not out yet. I don't know if this is going to be a trilogy? Question mark. I'm not entirely sure. But something about this just seems interesting, because again, trials and tribulations, kind of a murder mystery, but then also I think there's going to be a lot of interesting like politics going on, and I like that. I like it when it gets political, but not like overtly political, right? Like not so political like I don't understand what's going on, but like the different aspects of like the different classes and like things happening, like all the different things happening, but like made simple to understand for somebody who like doesn't understand like normal everyday politics. I like that. I like that in a book. I don't like real life politics. I get confused. But like politics in a fantasy book, A-okay. But I'm super excited. I'll probably read this soon because I don't know, something about this has been really calling to me, and that's why I just went ahead and got it, because for some reason it takes forever on the Libby app to get this like I think I've been waiting for like at least 10 plus weeks for Raven Scholar to come on hold, and I'm like, it's still just not coming. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna buy it. So I did, and I'm super excited about that. But that is my reading update, and I will update you here soon. I'm going to finish this book and I'm excited for it. So let's get into the rest of Malice and I'll update you in a minute. Alright, I am back with some reading updates. I did finish Malice. Now, I am honestly so shocked by this ending. Like, I feel like I went through a roller coaster of emotions. Like, of course, naturally, in like the end of a fantasy book, like the last quarter always like jumps off, and it was no different in this book. And there was so many things that happened, and it leaves you with so many questions. Like, I am raring to go into this next book. Like, I already ordered them. They should be here in the next couple of days. But ultimately, like, the way it's set off at the end of this book is they're setting out on a quest, and I love a quest. Like, I love a quest. I love a determination, but there's so many things happening in this series, and it's so intriguing and fascinating. Like, and I, as much as it was a very slow build up to this book, like, I mean slow, it was almost painful, but I think it was really worth it because I feel so connected to these characters. I'm invested in who they are and who they're becoming and why they're doing certain actions, and like it all makes sense because of the build up and getting to know these characters from the inside out and kind of following them. I think this book kind of spans over like 2-ish years, and it's just beautiful. Like, I cannot. Hello, we have a guest. Kate has arrived. I'm unsure of how these characters are going to develop more, because there's certain people with red flags that are popping up, and then like, again, this being a higher fantasy, like destiny and fate are coming into play. Like, there's a specific, what do you call it? There's like a specific scenario where it's just like, oh, like you are the chosen one, but it's really between two people, but like one is good, one is bad. And it's like been foretold that way, but now they're kind of figuring out, well, who's gonna be good, who's gonna be bad, and it's very interesting. And again, the dynamics is so interesting, and then these characters, and you're really left so open-ended. Like I have so many questions as to what's gonna happen, but I am so excited because we're going on a quest. I mean, again, I love a quest, but like we're going on a quest, and I feel like we're gonna get so many answers, but at the same time, like, my heart kind of broke a little bit at the end of the book because there's lots of things happening, but finally I think we're all the stories are finally tying together, and that's what I think I'm really enjoying most. It's like we're following so many different people, which can be like, it can definitely be confusing at times, right? It can be like, there was a lot of like going back and looking at the back of the book, like at the names, I'm like, well, who is this again? And like going to like, well, where are they at, like on this map, like in the front of the book. Like I was really confused part of the time because I'm just like, I don't understand what's happening. But again, that's pretty normal for me as I'm going through lots of books with lots of characters. I get confused, right? But finally I'm starting to understand who each people, well, hello, where are you going? Like I'm understanding who these people are and like where they're going. But now all the stories are finally kind of converging, and it's now like, okay, I won't feel like I'm so spread thin and like I have no idea who these characters are, like I don't even know where they're on the map. Like all of these stories are starting to connect and intertwine, and now it's all making sense and it's all connecting, and I am so I ended up very much thoroughly enjoying this book. It really picked up towards the end. And I really, really love how the battle scenes were easy to understand. Sometimes in high fantasies, it's just like, there's so many words that maybe I just don't understand, or maybe I think it's just maybe the way they put it together. Like it goes straight over my head, right? And I'm just like, well, they're fighting and that's all I know. In this, like you can literally, like I know where that sword is going next, into who, into like things like that. And I really, really appreciate the simplicity, but also it's not really a simple battle, but I can understand it simply, if that makes sense, right? Like, cause like complicated battle, but made simple to understand, if that makes sense. And I really, really enjoy that. Oh, another guest. Hello, Leo. I had 2 guests in one, you guys. You know, they showed up for the camera. They showed up for you. They were ready. They want some snuggles, you know, pet them on the way by. But anyway, super excited about this book. I will definitely be continuing on in the series. But another book update is I did start, excuse me, sir, can you lay down? Thank you. I did start Carl's Doomsday Scenario. Yeah, so Carl's Doomsday 2. I think I'm like 40-ish, almost 50% of the way in. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I'm 42% in. And I am enjoying it, right? I do think it's fun. There are like a couple like funnier moments. I don't think it's as funny as the first book, but this book, you know, it starts the setup as Carl is going into level 3, and this is not a spoiler. It's stated very early on, like within the first couple of chapters of the first Carl's Doomsday. But after level 3, you then get to choose like your character, and you can transform into something different that could help you further in the game. And so they go into this. That's the first thing they go into the book 2, is they get to change the form if they want to. And it's interesting to see what they choose, you know, and like, because of course it's not just a game, right? Like you're not just trying to survive. Like it's a game show. You want to keep your viewers up, and like, so how do you do that? Like you don't want to change it to a big ugly troll, even though it would give you certain points and aspects, but then you would lose your following, since if you're human first, you know, you're a big ugly troll. Like, what do you do now? And so they go through the process for a few chapters, and it's very interesting how that picks, and like what Carl picks, I think is also very interesting. I feel like I just have this feeling like what he picks, I think, is going to be very integral towards the end of the book series, and I think it's going to play a huge part into how it all like wraps together. I don't know, maybe not, but I just have this feeling with what specifically he picked. I think that's going to, as much as it's set him at a slight disadvantage, I think to a certain degree, but I think that's going to really play a big part towards the end of the book series, like in a really big way, not just like the game show, but like a really big world changing way. I don't know, we'll see. That's just like a prequel. Like I think it's gonna be important. Maybe not, but I don't know. I just get this inkling that it's gonna be important that he chose this. But anyway, we're moving on to the story, and it is interesting. This is, so far, there's a lot of strategy behind it, because of course you're trying now to get through. The first 3 levels were considered training. I think I knew that, but I guess it just didn't click. But like those were such a training, and like of course Carl and Princess Owner are like, what the F, right? Because like, what do you mean that was training? Because there was a lot going on. But then going into this now level 3. It is very interesting. Everything, of course, everything is leveled up. A lot of the like RPG and like certain standings, a lot of that stuff I will say definitely goes over my head. I'm gonna have to sit down with my husband and ask him like certain questions about like the video game type S stuff, because it's just a little confusing to me, and I don't know why it's confusing. But it's just like some of that stuff isn't clicking in, so I'm gonna have to have him clarify some of that stuff for me, because it's not like it's hard to understand in the book, but I think maybe I'm just not understanding like what it means for the character. That's the only gripe I have with that. But again, I think that's my own issue, right? But there's a lot of strategy going on, right? Like now we're into level 3. We have to figure out how we get our stats up. How do we start to really play the game, not only to get recognition and hopefully get sponsors here in the next few levels to like help them prolong the game and get prizes and things like that, but then also like how do you level up yourself and the different strategies of what you need to take. Like, do you pair with other crawlers? Do you not? Like, do you go to like a certain town? And I will say there is a bit of a circus aspect to the beginning of this, and it was like this big boss battle, and like again, I think it was my own personal thing. I don't like the circus. It was really creepy crawly, icky. I did not like it. It was kind of gross, but again, it was very interesting. Like I was interested to see what happened, but not a fan of the circus thing. But again, personal opinion on that. But it is still interesting. He's facing a lot of like more interesting beings and entities, I guess you could say. Like he faces like she's like half fae. What do you call it? I don't know. There are lots of different interesting like beings this time around. It's not just like trolls and hobgoblins. It's like more interesting, more intricate beings and things like that. So I found that really interesting so far. But I will definitely be probably finishing that up tonight, because again, I mean, at 42%, it's not going to take me long to finish this up yet. 2 hours and 59 minutes. Like I can easily do that. What time is it now? Yeah, it's 7:25. Like I can get that done tonight. But what I did already today, what I'm excited about, I got some new sheets. I don't know if you can tell. Super cozy. I washed everything. I vacuumed and mopped. Like I am in like supreme comfy mode, but I do have to do some laundry really quick. So let's get to that really quick, and let's finish up the book, and then I will come back with some final thoughts on all my books. All right, I am back for the final reading update. I finished Carl's Doomsday Scenario, and it was really good. I was really unsure of the beginning of it, honestly. Like the build up and the carnival theme, I was very hesitant. I didn't feel like it was really holding my attention as much, and it just, I mean, partly because it was creepy, but I don't know, something about it I was just not hitting. But like that second half of the book really picked up for me, and I really ended up enjoying it. I thoroughly would give this like a 4.5 stars. Still not as good as the first book, like Carl's Doomsday, but it was still good. I still really enjoyed it. I will definitely be continuing on the series. But anyway, so we go halfway into the book, right? Carl is on his mission. And there's a couple funny moments, and like there's one part, I'm not gonna try and give any context, but like he has to get naked, and like it's so funny because like one dude is just like, why are you naked? And it is so hilarious. It's hard to understand it because it's out of context, but like once you read it, like you're going to laugh and giggle and be like, what? It's so many random, like out of pocket, like things that happen. And I think that's the way he can put the funny twist on it. I think it's done so well, because it could go almost a step too far, but it just doesn't somehow. And I don't know how, because some of them I feel like almost toe the line of like, it's not that funny to be made fun of certain things in that way, but he does it so well of some serious like issues, and I really enjoy it. And I really liked the progression in this book. I really like Princess Donut, his cat, like very looked at as very childish, but like as she's progressing through the levels along with Carl, I'm really liking her character depth, and I think it's kind of like she's growing up, which is kind of sad that she's growing up in this like doomsday world, but it's very interesting. And like I really am enjoying Carl's character because I think we're getting to see a lot of him, and it is doing some flashbacks of his life before and like growing up, because I think he has some type of strained relationship with his father. And it's just, in it, of course, then it's talking about, like, the beginning of, like, the first book. It literally states, because Princess Donut is technically his ex-girlfriend, and his ex-girlfriend was cheating on him, or on Carl specifically. And so it's interesting, like, a lot of the things that are coming up, and, like, how the girlfriend or ex-girlfriend is like still kind of being put into the story and like the flash. It's interesting, but I really, as much as it's a funny story, it's such an interesting storyline and how the characters are developing and like how they're going through these levels, and I like that. I think we've gotten like introduced to a couple of character, like potentially other side characters that might be there for a little bit longer of a time, and the dynamics between, like, we're getting a lot more background of, like, the aliens who, like, run this labyrinth, like, Hunger Games style-esque thing that they, like the Hunger Games, like, they come to the planet and, like, that's what made the apocalypse, and the people who run pretty much the Hunger Games, you know, in the labyrinth that they're going through. And so it's interesting, the backstory, like I feel like we're getting like little sprinkles of like what's going on with that situation. So it's interesting, because of course it's like intergalactic, lots of stuff going on, there's a lot of politics behind it, but of course like we didn't know any of the politics going into it because we were just humans on Earth, really, like, right, like we, like none of that would happen, you know what I mean? So it's interesting, like the dynamics and how things are like coming to be. And again, we're only getting like sprinkles of like, I think there's a bigger thing going on, but again, we don't know what's happening yet. But I really enjoyed it. Like I'm definitely excited to continue on in the series. I hear it gets even better. I do think the books get longer. Of course, things are always going to be high escalation. He's going into like the next level, and every level he goes to, it gets harder and harder. Obviously, that's what it's meant to do, because it's meant to like pretty much kill all these people off and then make a bunch of money while watching it kill off, kind of like the Hunger Games. So I don't know, I really enjoyed that. Highly would suggest it. I don't know, I'm excited to continue on this series. Like I was a little concerned in the beginning half of this book, but it really picked up. But moving on, Malice. Absolutely loved this book. Absolutely. It was slow in the beginning. It was slower than molasses. I'm going to be completely honest, slower than molasses. But once it got to about the halfway point mark, it really picked up. And like, I understand why it was a bit so slow in the beginning, because I really think you needed to see the character development and like who these characters are and why they start making the decisions later on in the books. And like, especially even just this book, because it's a 4-book series. but which I haven't read it obviously, but it's just like the way it starts to develop, and like I am so attached to these characters. I think it's very interesting. I think the storylines are finally like all coming together at the end of the book. Like this is a thick book. It's a thick book. It's a lot for a beginning of a book series, but it's like Scottish Viking-esque. There's a huge like fate and destiny going on. There's pretty much two guys are destined to be something, like one good, one bad, and we're kind of finding the fallout in this broken world. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, very, very slow build up. I kind of had to push myself a little bit through it because I was interested, but like, I'm like, if it's going to be like this the whole way, I'm not going to read it. But it really, really picked up, and I loved the fighting scenes. I honestly think battle scenes alone, like this made the book for me because it was so simple to understand what was happening, right? Like a lot of battle tactics and certain things like go over my head. Like I'm like, I don't know what I just read, but like these two people were fighting, right? This is like, I understand what's happening the entire time. I don't know. I know who's slicing and dicing who, and like in what direction their sword is going, how they're feeling, are they out of breath? Like I really liked the immersion, and I don't know how he did it, but I think it was so interesting, and but it's so simple to understand that I love that. I don't know how, again, I don't know how you did it, but it was so good. So worth it. We'll definitely be continuing on this series. This series, I wouldn't say is for the faint of heart. There's a lot of connections. There's a lot of characters. It can be a little confusing, but it's worth it really in that because I'm so connected to a lot of these characters. Like I'm invested in what happens in these people. Like I need to know. I'm excited to get into the next book soon. Next book is about just as thick, if not thicker, and I'm here for it. I like books that are thicker than Snickers. You know, if you know, you know. Okay? Anyway, read this book. And then the last book that I read was Violet Thistlewaite as Not a Villain Anymore. And I thoroughly enjoyed this book too. Now I'd probably give this book maybe a 3.5. It's definitely spell shop vibes with Assistant to the Villain, and I enjoyed it, right? And there was nothing bad about this. It was like kind of like a slow build up. There was funny moments. I liked the characters. And I do think the ending really brought it all together. It was a bit surprising to me. And again, I wasn't expecting to be like surprised from this book, right? Like it's not something I would have been like, oh yeah, this is surprising. But it was cute and heartfelt, and I enjoyed it. Like just because it's 3.5 does not mean it was a bad book. Not at all. Fantastic book. Again, we follow Violet. Her master just died. Of course, he was an evil villain. She like pretty much raised her, so villainy is all she's ever known. Now she's like, well, I could be good, so let me try and be good. And she goes to this small town called Dragon's Rest, and she opens up a flower shop, and kind of things ensue from there. There's some characters that kind of pop up from her old evil world that she kind of has to figure out in battle, and like how she gets connected to these like other small town characters, and like how it all comes out. It's a really sweet story. There's a little bit of a romance, and I mean like tiny bit of romance, and it was fun. It was endearing. I enjoyed it. It was a good read. And again, I really would explain this as the spell shop with meets the assistant, with Assistant to the Villain vibes. Like it is similar along those routes. So if you liked either of those books, like this would definitely be the book for you. And I enjoyed it. And again, the cover is just so pretty. Like you can't tell me. And then like the inside also absolutely, like I liked it enough that I ended up getting, I don't know where it is. I bought the hardcover from Book of the Month. I have no idea where it is. I don't know. Everything is a mess. We'll get to that one day, okay? Maybe next week. But I will definitely be going through and reorganizing all that. But I did end up getting a hardcover of this because I really, really enjoyed it, and I really, really liked it. Like, I would read this again, even if it's just a 3.5 star. I would thoroughly enjoy this, and I would read it again and again. And again, it's just also just so pretty for spring. Like, I'm just saying. If you don't read the books just for like a pretty cover, then like I don't know that we could be friends. I'm just kidding. Like of course we can be friends, but like a lot of times I do pick, like if the cover's not great, I do have a really hard time trying to enjoy the book because I'm like, you didn't put enough effort into your cover. I know maybe that's petty, but I can be petty, okay? It's my life, okay? Well, this is it. This is the end of the reading vlog. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time reading these books. I think I had a lot of different vibes going on, but I really enjoyed it. They were all actually surprisingly very good reads. Like that does not happen almost ever, so I am shocked that it happened, but you know, things happen for a reason. I really enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what you're currently reading, if I influenced you to read any of these books that I read in this reading vlog, and I will see you on the next one. Happy reading.